welcome to Ask Assam, where everything has a story. Today we're looking at the discovery of penicillin and how it turned medicine onto its head and changed human history forever. Have you ever had something go so wrong and instead of fixing it, it ended up becoming the best thing that could have happened? And that mistake ended up saving over 200 million people. Because that's exactly how the world's first antibiotic, penicillin, was discovered. Not by a genius breakthrough or years of planned experimentation, but by a messy lab, a ruined experiment, and a scientist who didn't know to throw things away. To understand the scale of this discovery, you need to know the world before penicillin. Infections were terrifying. A small cut could kill you, childbirth was dangerous, and surgeries were a gamble. Even a minor infection like pneumonia could be a death sentence. Doctors had no reliable way to stop bacteria once it took hold. Humanity needed something powerful, something miraculous. Enter Alexander Fleming, a brilliant but famously messy scientist working in a London lab. In September of 1928, he comes back from holiday and looks at his contaminated petri dishes, and he notices something odd: blue-green mold, and around it a perfectly clear ring where bacteria has died. Fleming isolates the mold. He identifies it as Penicillin notatum, and he publishes a paper on its antibacterial powers in 1929. But he can't purify it, he can't stabilize it, he can't produce it at scale. Most scientists shrug and just move on. Penicillin becomes a curiosity, not a revolution. A decade later, Howard Florey, Ernst Chain, and a team at Oxford rediscover Fleming's forgotten paper. Where others saw an interesting footnote, they saw a world-changing opportunity. This is where the real penicillin story truly begins. Here's the thing that most people don't know. Penicillin was nearly impossible to purify. It decomposed easily, especially at room temperature. The team at Oxford had to invent an entire extraction and purification method from scratch. Here's a simplified version. They grew huge amounts of penicillin mold in shallow trays. The mold released penicillin into the liquid. They drained that liquid and tried to isolate only the penicillin. They used solvents like ether to separate the penicillin from everything else. They kept the entire process cold because penicillin broke down quickly. Breakthrough came when they discovered a pH method, adjusting acidity so penicillin would cleanly separate from impurities. This produced the world's first usable injectable penicillin. No factories, no advanced machines, just improvised equipment and determination. Their first real test was a policeman suffering from a severe infection. Within a few days of receiving penicillin, he started to become better. It worked, better than anyone expected. But there was a problem. They simply didn't have enough. They even tried to retrieve some of the penicillin from the policeman's urine, something that actually worked because penicillin isn't fully broken down by the body. But even that wasn't enough. The infection came back and the patient died. The loss only pushed them harder. They knew that they had something world-changing. With World War II raging, infections killed more people than bullets. Penicillin became a top priority for the Allies. American scientists created deep tech fermentation, basically giant vats that allowed penicillin to grow in huge quantities. They discovered that corn steep liquor massively increased production. This allowed penicillin to go from a lab curiosity to an industrial product. By D-Day in 1944, penicillin was everywhere. It saved thousands of soldiers during the invasion alone. Penicillin transformed medicine. It turned fatal infections into treatable ones. It made surgery safer. It reduced deaths in childbirth. It became the foundation of an entire antibiotic era. Millions of lives saved, all because of a dirty dish and a scientist who paused long enough to ask a question. The discovery of penicillin wasn't just science. It was a reminder that curiosity matters. Mistakes can change everything, and even an accident can rewrite history, because everything has a story. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to Ask Assam to learn more about the ideas and inventions that shaped our world, and I'll try to make a video on it.